everybody, it's James here from GoodGuitarist.com, and today I have a really easy blues tune for you guys. It's Hound Dog by Elvis. I'm going to show you how to play it in a really easy way that doesn't use any bar chords, and then I'll show you how to kind of spice it up with a little bit of, some seventh chords, a little bit of a bass line. If you find you need any extra help along the way, I do have a bunch of resources like a beginner's course, bar chord course, my free ebook. Check those out down below. Otherwise, we're just going to quickly get started with the chord shapes. The first chord is a C chord. And out of all the beginner chord shapes, that's probably one of the trickier ones. So make sure you're curling your fingers nicely, test every string. And from there, we go to an F chord, and that can be the F bar chord. And if you have some experience with guitar and you're ready to move on to bar chords, I do recommend using that one. But if it's a bit much, we can always use this chord shape. So there, I'm skipping the thinnest string, putting my first finger on the first fret of the B string. Second fret, use my pinky for the third fret, and then my ring finger for the third fret just above it. And then I'm going to mute the thickest string with my thumb. So the outside strings should be muted. This one by like the underside of my first finger, and this one by my thumb. And the rest of them are 3, 3, 2, 1, the middle four strings. And when we're switching from C to that chord, we can actually leave both of these fingers down. See? I can just leave my index and my ring finger in the same spot. Just try that a little bit if you're not familiar with that, going from C to the easy F chord. Try that a few times. And then finally we have a G chord. And I like playing it this way because we're going to be going from G to C. And it's a really easy switch like that. You just take these two fingers and move them down, and then you finish your C chord. You can do it this way. If you're comfortable with that, going from G to C that way, no problem. It's totally up to you. But I like this one in this scenario, especially once we turn it into a seventh chord. This one changes into a seventh chord, into G7 really easily, but we'll take care of that in a bit. Let's just focus right now on the form of the song using C, easy F, and any version of G that you're comfortable with. We're just going to do downstrokes only, making sure that we get the chords in the right order, the right number of beats, and all that stuff. Starting off on C, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time, do the whole thing. Said you was clasped. 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2. Said you was high class. Yeah, that was just a lie. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You ain't Cool, so take a minute, make sure you can play with the chords just like that. You can always just rewind and play along as many times as you need until you can count it out just like we did. Count out loud, downstrokes only, so that we're basically training this hand to do its job and just do it so that we can focus on the strumming. And when you're ready, that's exactly what we'll do. The strumming pattern goes like this. I'll do it a little bit slower. 2, 3, 4. So that's the most common strumming pattern in the universe. Down, down, up, down, up. But we're playing it with a bit of a swing feel, and we're accenting certain beats. First, let's figure out the actual order of the pattern. We can divide it into two parts. The first half is down, down, up. Down, down, up. Just try that, just going down, down, up, 3, 4. And then the second half goes miss, up, down, up. 1, 2, miss, up, down, up. 1, 2, miss, up, down, up. 1, 2, miss, up, down, up. And if you find yourself having trouble with even that, like breaking the strumming pattern down, I want you to try this. Going 1, 2, miss, that's a downstroke, and then up, down, up on and 4 and. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. And I need you to count out loud while you do that. That's the most important part. It makes sure that you're staying in the rhythm, even though you're just playing a small chunk of it. Because if you just played that small chunk at random times, you're not really getting the idea of constantly being in the rhythm. When you're playing a song, you're constantly feeling that rhythm for, however long the song is, right? You have to stay in it, even if you're not playing anything, even if you're waiting to take a solo. You gotta have the groove going, and then when it's your turn to let her rip, or whatever, like you can really like feel the groove even though you're not constantly strumming. So that's a huge thing. If you're having any trouble with strumming patterns, you just got to learn to count out loud a little bit and incorporate that into your patterns as you're learning them. Anyways, once you are at that point, you can play this pattern pretty decently, going down, down, up, down, up. We can add some finishing touches that'll make it sound like the song. The first one is to have a swing feel. So instead of a straight feel like this song has like that sort of feeling. The downstrokes are a bit longer. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So just practice that sort of thing, starting slow. Then trying to do your pattern with that same feel. Once you can do it with a swing feel, we can accent certain beats. The very first downstroke, let's try to do it quietly. Just doing a little downstroke. 1. Sounds like a little downstroke. Little downstroke. And then the first upstroke. So 1, 2, up. Try to make that one louder. By putting a bit more movement into it. Down, down, up. And by adding those 3 things, the swing feel, the quieter beat 1, and then that louder and of 2, by adding those 3 elements, we take this strumming pattern, nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. It doesn't really have that feel. It sounds really square, right? Whereas if we add those elements to that strumming pattern, you ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time, but a hound dog. So yeah, take your time with that. Add those elements one at a time. Don't just try to go all the way for it. First, try to get it solid with the swing feel, then with the quiet beat 1, and then finally with that accented beat 2. Then you put it all together. And when you're ready, we can try this together, even if you're not 100% ready, even if you're still, playing the strumming pattern a little bit off. Don't worry about it. We're going to add it to the chords either way. And here we go. Starting off on a C chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Crying all the time, but I'm down, crying all the time. You ain't never caught a rabbit, and you ain't no friend of mine. Well, they said you was a high class. Well, that was just a lie. You was a high class. Well, that was just a lie. You ain't never caught a rabbit, and you ain't no friend. All right, right, so at this point, we can totally call it a day. You know how to play Hound Dog by Elvis Presley. I want you to just refine what we've done so far. But when you're ready, I have some stuff that we can do with this song that'll make it a bit more authentic, a little cooler, and also make it so that you can jam this song with other people. I want to show you two things. First, I want to show you how to add some seventh chords to it. So instead of just playing a C chord, we can just add one finger, play C7. You know, and I'm going to show you how to play G7 and all that. And I also want to show you how to play the bass line from this song because it's very simple, very repetitive. And let's say you go to jam with somebody else and they're already playing the chords. If you both play the chords, that's cool, but it's even cooler if they play the chords and you play the bass line. It'll sound even more like the song. You know, if you go like... So let's figure that stuff out. First, let's take a look at the chords because it's pretty easy. Let's just get it out of the way. We start off on our C chord. And to play C7, all you have to do is put your pinky down on the G string. That's the only string that you're not playing right there in the middle at the 3rd fret. So now it's 3, 2, 3, 1, open. And I would sub this chord in the 4th measure. So we start off the tune with our regular C chord. We do our strumming pattern with it 3 times. And then the 4th time, I add my pinky. And then I go to F. And then I'm going to go back to regular C. And then C7. And then I'm going to go to a G7 chord. And G7 is like this. It's just like a C chord, but you take these 2 fingers, you move them that way. You take that finger, you move it that way. So you kind of just like spread them out. You have your C chord and you just spread out your C chord. So you have 3, 2, 0, 0, 0, and then 1. And then we go to an F chord. And then we go to a C chord. So we're just inserting a C7 chord and a G7 chord. Let's try it downstrokes only, not worrying about the strumming pattern. We're just going to focus on the chord shapes, just like we did before, inserting these 7th chords. If you're not sure what's going on, you can always just watch this and then rewind it and follow along afterwards. Let's try it out starting on C. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2. Here we go. 4. Nice. So we're just changing up the chords a little bit. You do that with the strumming pattern, it'll sound a bit cooler, a bit more like the original recording. And the other thing I wanted to show you was that bass line thing. And it's really simple, really repetitive. And the really cool thing is you can use this on any blues. You know, this is just a 12-bar blues. There's like a billion 12-bar blues, super famous songs that you can play with these exact chords. Now, the easiest way to go about this, I think, is to first figure out the root notes of each chord. So for C, there's our root note on the 3rd fret of A, and the root for F is right here. That's the 1st fret of the thickest string. And then G, and the root of G, right there, 3rd fret of the thickest string. So I want you to just look at your guitar, tell yourself, that's C, that's G, and that's F. And once you've gotten acquainted with those 3 notes, we can actually build off of those root notes. So we're going to start off on C, the 3rd fret of the A string, play that with our 1st finger, and then we're going to go up to the 5th fret with our ring finger on the same string, also on the A string. We pluck the note and slide up to the 7th fret at the same time. Just try that a whole bunch, going from 5 to 7. Might take a few days to get used to this. Once you're used to that, after that we're going to play the 5th fret on the D string with our index finger. So it makes like a little triangle. Just get used to those 3 notes, going 3, slide up to 7, and then the 5th fret with your 1st finger. So those are the notes. Now let's figure out the rhythm for this bass line. The first note we play on beat 1, 1, 2, and. So we slide up to the 7th fret on and of 2. 1, 2, and. And then finally, we play this last note on beat 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So just take a look at the screen, take a look at the counting and how the notes line up with the counting. Count to yourself at your own pace. I don't care how slow you go, just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And once you can do it comfortably for C, starting on that note, we just take the exact same concept and we just start on our other root notes. So we could do that for G. We would just move it all over that way. We just start on the 3rd fret of the thickest string, and then we slide up to the 7th fret, and then we play the 5th fret. Same concept, except we're starting on the root for G. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then the same thing for F. For F, we start on the 1st fret, and then we slide from the 3rd to the 5th, and then the 3rd fret. It's the same shape. Like as a guitarist, you think about chord shapes and you can like move some chord shapes around. Well, as a bass player, you have these bassline shapes, and this is a really common one for the blues. Let's just try it on each of them. C, then on G, and finally on F. And once you're comfortable with those 3 bass lines, we just have to plug it into the chord shapes. So we just go through the tune. Starting off on C, see there's 4 measures of C, so we have to do our bass line 4 times. Then there's 2 measures of F, so we do it on F 2 times, back to C 2 times, once on G, once on F, a couple times on C. Let's just go through it together nice and slow. You don't have to follow along with me just like saying what to do. Let's try it together. Starting off on C. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3 times, 4th time, F, again, back to C, G, F, C, and that's it. So at this point, you have a lot of options for what to do on this tune. And something that I think would be really great for your practice sake is to take the chords and record yourself playing them. So take the chords and the strumming, once you're comfortable with them, and record yourself doing them. Just record it on your phone or something. And then, once you have a recording of you playing through the whole song several times in a row, then you can practice playing the bass line over your own recording. That'll help sharpen up your rhythm. It'll do so much for you. It's one of the things that I kind of force my students to do. People don't really like doing it, but honestly, it's so great to do that. That's my number 1 recommendation for how to take this song and use it to get way better at guitar. If you're super lucky and you have a friend who can play guitar, get them to play the chords and you can practice the bass line, and then you can trade. They can do the bass line and you can do the chords. You can practice singing, you can do all sorts of stuff. This is a really jammable song, and you take this exact thing on guitar and you could use different words and you have a different blues song. There's tons of blueses in the key of C. I think Sweet Home Chicago, you could just be like, come on, baby, won't you wanna go? Come on. You can play a ton of songs with just this one chord progression. So I want you to really go to town experimenting with this one, practicing it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. And if you find that you need some extra help, don't forget about all my resources, my free ebook, my courses. There's links to all that stuff down below. Otherwise, hope you have a fun time practicing, and I'll see you soon.